Welcome back to Tabula Rasa. This is our comic book review. Based off of these 5 categories, I'm going to give it either a star, or if I really like it, a star plus. A combination of 5 stars or pluses means I recommend it. More than 5 just simply tells you how much I like it. Do the YouTube thing, feed the algorithm, and here we go. The All-Nighter, written by Zdarsky, art by Jason Loo, colored by Alleyne, lettered by Aditya, Bidikar, editor is Allison O'Toole. It is published by Jams and Jelly. Now, is this another comixology original? Yes. There are Eisner Award winners, and I'll be honest, as a consumer, I don't really care about the Eisners. I mean, they're definitely something to be lauded about if you are a winner of one, by all means. But for me personally, it doesn't affect me picking a comic, right? Because for me, it's ultimately someone else's opinion. So what can we say about the All-Nighter? Is it just another mediocre business as usual, grab a check and I'm out kind of comic? No, it is not. Color, black and white. If you've ever read iZombie, this reminds me of that. The limited palette color, the colorist Alleyne, and the artwork by Jason Loo works really well together. It has a nice pop art style in which we see the personality of the artist. It works well with the story, so I'm giving this a star plus. The modern style of comics is what we see here. Not so much of that super detailed of the 90s, big rippling muscles and the big TNA. And to be honest, that style can be a little bit too much sometimes. So on this one, I'm giving it a yes, star plus. Panels and expression. So this had that square panels, and it was done competently. And it wasn't distracting, and it works for this comic. That being said, my own personal views is that panels can use a little bit more play. This one didn't have that, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not for me, but it does get a star for this. So yes, star. Characters and dialogue. When dialogue feels natural, it is great. Even more so when exposition dialogue doesn't feel like exposition. Alex and Joy seem to be our main characters, and they are likable. And it takes what is usually a cliched premise at this point, like vampires live among us, and doesn't throw us into that Twilighty stuff. So yes, we see a lot and in so little pages, but doesn't feel forced or cramped. It's great, so I'm giving this a star plus. The writer clearly knows what he is doing. Themes and execution. So speaking of writers, that Eisner is definitely well deserved here. He knows how to write a story, or at least how to set this one up. Vampires and immortality is pretty cliche at this point, but considering that no one outside of Marvel and DC does Marvel superheroes, and some may say, well, Vampirella, right? Well, she's not really a superhero to say. This has this natural call to action and also deals with the day-to-day issues with the found family of one's not choosing. I mean, there's a lot here. Things like how would vampires actually live in a modern city if they weren't filthy rich, etc., etc. Kind of like that one video game, Vampire the Masquerade, right? So it has a lot of that stuff. It's dense. Loved it. Liked it. Star plus. Plot/execution. Now, setting up a superhero origin story usually involves having the main characters wear the costume because they have avenged or served justice or whatever the initial conflict is, right? But this subverts that. Spoilers. But considering that it was in the description, it really isn't. But the way that Alex becomes the hero is unique, and the future conflict is set up so naturally, hits the beats of many superhero comics, but it doesn't make it cliche. So, star plus. Conclusion. 9 out of 10 or 5 stars and 4 pluses. So, wow. This was a surprise I didn't see coming. Like I said before, I'm not into the awards that people get. It is an achievement for sure for the writers and the artists, right? But for me, it just comes down to this is someone else's opinion, and some of them get paid to give it. That being said, having an Eisner in this case is well deserved. The writer and the artist seem to have synergized, and that makes it that much better. Obviously, I would recommend this to anyone. It's a superhero comic, but not your traditional one. It doesn't have that gritty realism that the boys and, the grimdark stuff, which is pretty good because that's kind of overdone and cliched at this point. It has a rational approach, and it is fun to read, which is the most important thing. Also, like I stated before, doing vampires is pretty cliche at this point. After the Twilight phenomena and the True Bloods, which tend to emphasize on the sexiness or the sex metaphors and allegory, this doesn't do that. Which makes this, again, a breath of fresh air, a nice breath of reality. After all, in real life, not everything is about the sex, though some may argue about that. It's about the everyday things here, the boredom, the worries of everyday life, and this shows a bit of what that would mean for a vampire. It builds upon the works of people before, but it isn't just a copy of what has come before. It's a nice, different direction. Also saying that this was surprising for me because it was a comixology one, and the last two I read by Scott Snyder, the story just wasn't doing it for me, so I came in with low expectations on this one. But you know what? This is really good. So if you do like this sort of thing, it is great. Enjoy it. It certainly wouldn't be a waste of your money to get this. I would like to say thank you for watching so far. I hope you enjoyed these Halloween themed comic books. I enjoyed reading about half of them. If you do enjoy this sort of comment, do the YouTube thing, feed the algorithm, and I hope you are having a good day or good evening. Ciao, everybody.